Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a lot to get into, even though we still haven't had games now in going on 14 weeks. But we're getting closer. Fans are starting to be involved. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Penguins entering Phase 2. We're talking about Major League Baseball greed still rules the day. But the #1 topic here tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be the Steelers. Coaching staff is back in place. We're going to talk about elements of the NFL moving forward. And here to do that is our panel. This has been our regular routine here since we started into this social distancing situation. We have Rich Walsh, my colleague at KDKA down below, and to the right, my right, and I guess it would be your right too. I never know which right it is, but it's Andrew Fillipponi from 93.7 The Fan. Let's start with the coaches reported here, guys. And Rich, this is going to be the first year, however, when they do have a training camp, and they will at some point have a training camp, that it will not be at St. Vincent College in Latrobe. I know the league mandated this, but are the Steelers better off at the South Side or in Latrobe?
You know what? I agree with this move. I was anticipating a move like this. I didn't know the NFL was going to mandate it. I think they should be on the South Side this year, just depending on just what's been going on. But not only for the NFL and for the players and for the Steelers, but for St. Vincent. And whether they're going to go back to school or they're going to resume classes to get their school ready, it might not be good timing to have a football team there when they're trying to, make preparations if they come back to class this year. I don't know if they will, and we heard that people might, but I think it was a good move. I think it was a good move that everyone stays at their facilities, and maybe next year the Steelers can go back to St. Vincent and with the fans.
Yeah, I disagree with that, Richie. I mean, if Pitt and Penn State football players can go back to those facilities on Monday, okay, so that to me, I know Pitt is not on a college campus, but Penn State is. I mean, that's a state college. They're not in some biodome somewhere. That's a college campus for those football players. And I just feel like, guys, if we're trying to sequester players or athletes and put them in these bubble situations, isn't that St. Vincent College? It's players living where they play. They're not leaving the premises, which is what you're hearing with the NBA in Orlando. Everybody's in one place. So if you could get all the Steelers players in one spot, what is the risk of having training camp the good old-fashioned way at St. Vincent College?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that just because you can control where they are. And hypothetically, if you are on the South Side and some of them go on their own at the end, they can end up into South Side.
Where are they going to stay, Bob?
Well,
they don't have bunk beds at the Steelers facilities.
You lose track of where they are, and if you're trying to contain a so-called virus that still may be in existence, that's the wrong thing to do.
I'm sure there'll be mandates in place, guys. I'm sure they're not going to be allowed to leave if they're coming together as a team. I just think that St. Vincent is such a small school, and
Richie,
there's going to be
here's the other thing about what you're saying
that help.
Here's the other thing that you're saying. I'm guessing we're going to have a limit, a maximum capacity for these places. Pitt and the Steelers practice at the same place. Are they going to allow to have full?
Not at the same time.
Okay, so training camp, you're pretty much all-day football. They're going to have to tell the Steelers and all their coaches and 90-plus players they have to leave because Pitt needs to use the facilities? That just doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
I think they'll be able to alternate it. Look, the Steelers practice at 9 in the morning again. They practice at 2:55 to 5:30. I'm sure Pitt can practice in between that session and then maybe after the session or practice indoor. I'm sure they'll be able to work it out. They're two separate facilities. They'll never really come into contact with each other.
Well, I think St. Vincent would have been a good place, but I understand what the league is doing generally. Let's move on to our next topic, and that would be what Joey Porter, the former outside linebacker and one of the best in Steelers history, had to say this week about moving forward with both Bud Dupree and T.J. Watt. Pony, he says this team should sign both long-term. That would be an awful lot of money to commit to one position, and while you would be very good in that position, you would think for years to come, that seems like it won't leave a lot for anyone else.
Bob, I got news for you. I'm not sure any of these guys are going to get signed. I mean, what Cam Hayward told Mark Caboli this week, alarm bells were ringing for me. It made me think that some of what we're seeing with baseball, with reduced revenue, might come to the NFL. And if the salary cap goes down, everybody said salary cap going up, big TV deal, expanded playoffs, more money. Well, if that doesn't come to fruition, Well, what happens to guys like Cam Hayward, Juju Smith-Schuster, Al Villanueva, James Conner? These are all, Bud Dupree, these are all free agents, and that's why I think there's a holding pattern. I don't see any way, I mean 0 way Bud Dupree is on this team next year.
Yeah, I agree with you on Bud Dupree. Even though I like him, I think he's turning into a good player. I think he's going to continue to do what he did last year. I mean, I was told he is the fastest guy for the first 10 yards on the Steelers, which, you know, he just has to get his technique down and stop running by quarterbacks, and that's what he did last year. Having those two guys on the ends is dangerous for this Steelers defense. They can't afford everyone, though. And what Pony said with maybe the salary cap not rising, and maybe they'll try to level this off over a couple-year period. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be
Cam
awfully
Hayward
hard.
saying, I'm not having any conversation with the Steelers is a scary situation.
It is.
Because everybody said that was a done deal, rubber stamp it, it's happening. Now he's saying they haven't talked to me. I mean, that to me is ominous, very ominous.
Yeah, it is, and it means that, you know, Cam Hayward is one of those guys you want to retain. He has his best season last year. He's still good enough to play for several more years. And yet that's not going anywhere. That is interesting to see, and it does look ahead to a salary cap situation that may change. All right, what about Connor Smith-Schuster? I'm going to bring that up, Rich, only because if both have good seasons, they don't have to have a great season, but if they have good seasons, to me, and you can make an argument either side here, that guys are replaceable, especially in those positions. But if you had to pick one to keep, to me, it would depend on what Deontay Johnson and James Washington do. If they don't do well, I keep Smith-Schuster. If they do, I could find another wide receiver. Who do you pick of those two if you had to make a choice?
Look, if I have to pick one, I don't think either one's coming back. But if I have to pick one, I think it's going to be Juju Smith-Schuster. But it depends on the money situation. Connor's going to cost a lot less than Juju Smith-Schuster. But I think Juju has done more for the Steelers and continue to do more. I'm still worried about Connor's health. And I think just the way the game is now, running backs are more easily replaceable.
See, Bob, I don't know what these guys are going to want, but if we're ballparking it right now, I think if Juju has, you said good year,
yeah.
I think Juju's going to want somewhere between $16 and $19 million, and there's no way I'm doing that. I think if James Conner stays healthy, you know, maybe you can get him for $3 or $4 million. Something like that. And that, to me, if he can show he can stay healthy for 16 games, would be something I would be interested in doing. Juju is going to price himself out of Pittsburgh, though, if he's good.
Yeah, I think that position itself, Rich, prices it out. The running back position has been depreciated over time. You're not going to see those Todd Gurley contracts anymore, Rich.
No,
so
but if you're saying a great season,
I said good season.
A good season, okay. We're saying a good season. So Connor's going to want somewhere in the neighborhood of, what, $7 million, right?
No,
6, 7 million.
But here's the difference, Richie. Here's the difference. If Juju Smith-Schuster is a free agent, with it being a pass-happy league, there are going to be a lot of teams interested in him. He'll be 24 years old, that's it. If James Conner has a 1,000-yard season, I don't think you're going to have tons of teams interested in him because of his injury history. I think you could find a way to make his contract fit for the Steelers better because he's not going to be in demand.
Yeah, I don't think either one's coming back. But if I had to pick one, I was picking Juju Smith-Schuster. Money's going to be a problem, obviously. They're not going to be able to afford 15, 16, 17 million if you're saying we're getting upwards of there. And, you know, if Juju has a 1,200-yard season, say something like that, 1,200, 8 touchdowns, does that put him in the 16 to 19 million range?
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah, look at what Sammy Watkins got. That's the money he got. He's a number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah, there's a lot that is yet to be determined when it comes to salary cap, and that will factor in. They have to take care of Hayward, you would think, Dupree, if they want, but I doubt it. TJ Watt's going to get the mega money deal, and then those guys on offense, so we'll see. It is just getting started. We have a lot more coming up. We're going to switch to baseball when we come back. But first, it's exciting when a team moves into a new building. That's certainly true when the team at number 1 Cochran Hyundai South Hills and their spacious new facility, even though they only moved just a mile up the road. Right now, for a limited time, get special grand opening offers in both sales and service. It's the new number 1 Cochran Hyundai South Hills, now conveniently located at 3220 West Liberty Avenue. Major League Baseball is next. Number 1 Cochran Sports Showdown is brought to you by Number 1 Cochran, Go One Better, and by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. Have a greater hand in your health.